Hello, believers, non-believers, and everyone in between. You're listening to Stories with Sapphire. I am Sapphire Sandalo. Now get cozy and open your mind because it's story time. Happy Wednesday and welcome to Stories with Sapphire Live. I am Sapphire Sandalo. This is the live stream I do on YouTube every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're listening on Spotify, this is not live and there is a video component. And because it is recorded live, it is a lot more loose and casual than regular podcast episodes, but I am still reading your emails and story submissions. So if you have a story that you would like to submit, send it to storieswithsapphire@gmail.com. And at the end of every stream, I pull a card from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. So beautiful. Okay. How is everybody doing? Let me pull up our very first story. This one comes from Christina, called Mischievous Mia. Hi, at the Sapphire. You can call me Nisha, and I'm from the Philippines. I've been watching your vids since I was in 5th grade, and I want to share a true story of mine. Just a reminder, I'm not a great storyteller, so please bear with my writings. I'm sure you're a great storyteller. All right. When I was little, I grew up with what I thought was just an imaginary friend. Her name was Mia. She was a mischievous one. I remember when I was 4, I was playing with Mia and we were near the stairs. I was on the edge and then she suddenly pushed me. I was about to fall, but then she caught me before I got hurt. She's always been like that. Once we were on a beach for vacation. I was near the shore since I'm only 6 at the time and I didn't know how to swim. Suddenly, Mia dragged me in the deep part of the water. I felt myself sinking deeper and deeper, and just when I felt like I was about to drown, Mia pulled me up and brought me back in the shallow part of the water. She always laughs when she does things like that to me, but not once has she actually let me get hurt. In the same year, I was crossing the road when I almost got hit by a speeding truck, but Mia tugged me back to avoid it. She wasn't laughing that time. Instead, she was growling while looking at the truck's direction. I didn't notice that many people saw that because it was the first time I saw her with that expression. When I started 1st grade, Mia was with me at school. I was bullied a lot at the time, and whenever it happens, Mia growls at them and tries to scratch them, but she could never really touch them. I found it weird at first since I was able to touch and feel her. Mia seems to not like it when I get hurt, so I try to avoid it as much as possible. Then I was in 3rd grade of elementary when she disappeared. The last time I saw her, she just kept staring at me like she was worried, sad but relieved at the same time. I never told anyone about Mia because she told me to, and I lived my life not sure if she was real or not. I'm now 18 years old, and I got the urge to write about her since I think she's back. I was washing dishes when the knife suddenly fell from the counter. It would have wounded my leg, but the knife stopped midair, like something or someone caught it before falling gently on the floor. And after that, I heard giggling, and I felt a hand brush against me. I'm not sure if it's really her, but I guess I'll be able to figure it out in the near future. What? Thank you, Nisha, for that story. So, thing about imaginary friends, if this imaginary friend is physically interacting with you, like they are pushing you, they're pulling you out the way of a truck, I mean, to me, that's not just your imagination. That's got to be something. There's got to be something more than that. But it is really strange to me that this friend it feels like she's putting you in danger just to pull you out. And to me, that's a weird vibe. I don't know. That's not a friend of mine. Okay. All right. And our next story. This one comes from Ben. And it's called The Medallion on the Wall. Patrick Henry Vanovich was an unkind young man. He was always the bully, the people user, and the opportunist. He was young, well off financially, and had decided to move to a new home in Hawthorne, Michigan. He'd found the home online through a community website for the town and found it curious that there was no realtor or listing attached to the home, but he loved the look of it, so he decided to put a little extra effort, with, of course, the benefit of being able to argue the price, which he was able to take down well below its value. He was pleased with himself. The old woman he had been arguing with the price on was simple and kind-hearted, so he used that as a way to get the house at a ridiculous price. As he pulled into the driveway, the elderly woman happily waved at him with the keys to the home in her hands and another folded paper in the other. What an idiot, he thought to himself in the car. He smiled back simply because he was happy at how he got away with getting the home so dirt cheap. He exited his car and started walking up to greet the woman. "I have everything ready for you," she said excitedly. She handed him the keys. As she handed him the folded piece of paper, she said, "That there is the floor plan of the house as of 80 years ago. There was a modification and we had to get rid of a portion of the house." He took the folded paper and put it into his pocket, thinking to himself that he wouldn't need the floor plan. He hated the idea of not being smart enough to figure out the home on his own. "Open the door to your new home," she said to him excitedly. He gave a real smile for a second. It was always nice to have something new, and especially a home. As he entered the house, the first thing he noticed was that she had done a great job cleaning it out. There wasn't even a speck of dust. Then he noticed something peculiar on the wall. It was a medallion. "You missed something on that, all over there," he said. "Oh, did I forget to mention it? That medallion is a very important part of this home's history. It needs to be with the house. I think it also protects it and keeps it happy." He was alarmed at how insistent and aggressive she was suddenly. Protects it? What was she even talking about? He decided to play along and act like he was not going to throw it out after she left. "Oh, definitely. I have no problem with that." He didn't have time for drama. He just wanted to have the movers set up his things. The woman smiled. "You're just gonna love it here." She gave him an unexpected hug and walked out the door and down the street. Didn't she have a car? He thought to himself. He stopped thinking about it because at that moment, the moving van showed up. He welcomed them in and asked that they first brought in his recliner chair so he could watch them work. He put a small wastebasket next to the recliner for his snack and positioned himself right next to the medallion. As the movers finished and were paid, he smiled to himself. He'd noticed 2 of the movers had remained outside and were just kind of being lazy and chatting and laughing, so he shortchanged them and threw wadded bills at them through the open window. They sulked away as they left, walking on the sidewalk instead of carpooling with the others. "Now what's this stupid medallion?" he thought to himself. He ripped it off the wall. Nothing happened when he did. He didn't feel a change in the air. The house didn't tell him to put it back just as he expected. He read the medallion with the now ripped ribbon. It read, "Joshua Novella Jenkins, Outstanding Community Member, Hawthorne, Michigan, 1925. He knew it was old, but it was just made out of some kind of basic metal. He couldn't sell it. "Garbage," he said to himself as he threw it in the wastebasket. He took the garbage bag with the medallion outside to the can at the street just to do one more thing he felt was funny to himself. He wondered how unhinged the elderly woman would have become, and chuckled to himself. He went back into the house. It was time to finally explore this place. As he rounded the kitchen, he noticed a small door near the fridge. "That's odd," he thought to himself. "Must be the cellar." This was actually great for him because now he could put his extra things down in the cellar. Everything was going his way. He opened the small door and ducked his head. He was small enough to fit through. He looked down and saw a room, one of the walls covered in newspaper clippings. There were candles burning. "Now that's weird," he thought to himself. Crazy old bat must have forgot the candles were burning. As he walked down the steps, he stopped for a second and thought, "I better get a flashlight in case the candles go out. I'd hate to have to wire this place. What a pain." He turned around to go back through the small door. But there was no door. Patrick froze. Suddenly, nothing made sense. He started to feel a panic. This doesn't happen in reality. He always had control and knew what to do. The floor plan, he thought to himself. Maybe that woman wasn't totally useless. He walked towards the candlelight and unfolded the piece of paper. His finger traced the line of where he had the movers put the refrigerator to where the cellar was. There was nothing. There was no cellar. "Wait, what?" he said out loud and looked around. This made no sense. Where was he? How was this possible? Had the woman fooled him somehow? His face became flushed as he started sweating and became jittery. Something had to make sense. He ran over to where the newspapers were on the wall. As he glanced over the articles, a terrifying article title hit his eye. 5 bodies uncovered at the Jenkins estate. Foul play suspected. That was his home. They had never told him about this. He read further. Joshua Novella Jenkins, who had been awarded the Outstanding Community Member Medal for the town of Hawthorne, has been found dead, along with 4 others in the cellar of the Jenkins estate. The suspect remains at large, but police are looking for a woman named Cynthia Graybirch for questioning. He looked at the police sketch. The woman was beautiful. How could she have been implicated? Then he noticed something that made his blood turn cold. The woman had a very specific birthmark on her upper forehead. It was the elderly lady. The candles had slowly been burning out as he was trying to process what was going on. The candles suddenly burned out and the room was pitch black. Josh was terrified. He had never been so powerless. Out of nowhere, he heard a soft voice in the darkness. For some reason, it kept him calm when he heard it, even though he thought he was alone. "Why did you throw away my medallion, Patrick?" He wasn't alarmed, but had a larger realization that maybe there was a spirit world and suddenly had a rush of real emotion in his life. He knew in his heart he was talking to the ghost of Joshua Novella Jenkins. "I'm sorry, I just didn't see the point in it," he said back. Joshua replied, "It kept the house safe." "Safe from what?" Patrick said. "It was the one thing that I did right in my life other than having Cynthia as my girl," Joshua replied. He was talking about the elderly woman. "It was the glue that kept us going up until my friends and I were killed." "How did you die?" Patrick asked. Joshua replied, "I can't protect you anymore. I'm sorry." Josh felt the temperature in the room shift. The candles suddenly reignited on their own, and he heard the small door creak open. "Oh, thank the heavens," Patrick sighed, a big sigh of relief, and looked up to his exit. He was surprised to see the 2 lazy movers from earlier blocking the door. "Oh my gosh, you guys are never going to believe what happened." The movers didn't say a word. Patrick suddenly noticed something odd about the movers. Their clothing was from the 1920s. He heard Josh's voice whisper closely in his ear, "We all thought they were the movers too. I just hope you didn't shortchange them." He knew there was no way out. The end. Ooh, thank you, Ben. Ben, I believe you are in the chat. I saw your name. That was a really cool one. Thank you for sharing that with us. Adam, thank you for the super chat. So who would win, a Tikwi or a dragon? Oh, no. You know, I'm going to say dragon because they've got fire breath. And so they can shoot it from afar and then just burn up the tikwi. Nate, why is it when somebody asks a ghost how they died, everything goes to heck and nothing makes sense? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. All right, y'all. Let's see if we've got a little short guy we can add. All right, this one's called The Cabin, submitted by Lola. Hello, Sapphire. I would like to submit a story that happened to me when I was young. Oh my gosh, I got hiccups. Hang on. Woo! Oh my God. Sorry. Hello, Sapphire. I would like to submit a story that happened to me when I was younger. When I was little, I lived in a house with my mom, dad, and little brother. The neighborhood was often quiet. My brother and I would play with our friends across the street like every day. Everything was fine until we came across this small house, or cabin, rather, behind our house. We didn't think anything of it and continued playing, forgetting about the cabin not long after. Our parents called us back inside, telling us we had to eat dinner and that it was getting late. When we sat down and started eating, I decided to ask my parents if they knew why there was a random cabin behind our house. When I asked, they just said that there used to be a house there, but it burnt down. I then continued eating like normal, except I couldn't stop thinking about the cabin. If the house burnt down, why would the cabin still be there? In the morning when I woke up, I decided that we needed to do more research on this cabin. My brother and I were home alone, so we thought this would be the best time to do some research. We let our friends inside our house and went to the office where my dad keeps his computer. When we searched, we couldn't find anything. Since we all like horror stories and weren't really scared of many things, we went to the cabin. When we got there, it was starting to scare us. My friend Mickey said she felt sick when we got close to the cabin. My brother decided to open the door. When he tried to open the door, something was either blocking it or holding it closed because it wouldn't open. There was a small window on top of the door, and since I was the tallest, I looked inside. Just as I looked, I gasped. Inside the cabin was a bunch of gardening tools, bloodied gardening tools, and dead animals spread across the floor. When we stepped back and we were about to leave because we were scared, which was rare, we heard a voice from inside the cabin. The voice said, "Go away, go away, go away," in a deep voice, and then the only source of light to see from inside the cabin was blocked by a large hand. We were terrified. We ran as fast as we could to get back home. Later that same year, my family moved since I was going to high school and we needed to be closer to my school. When we finally left, I thought that I wouldn't have to see the cabin anymore, nor whatever was living in it. I was about to scream. When I looked out my window, I saw a tall male staring right at me with large hands and pointed fingers waving goodbye as we left. Thank you for reading, Lola. Ooh, that's creepy. I love a mystery cabin. Oopsies. I did not mark it as red. Okay. Did I do that right? Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone who submitted a story today. Adam, thanks for this extra super chat for dragons. Yes, I love dragons. Dragons are my favorite animal? Creature? Is that what we call them? All right, we're going to pull a card from Angels and Ancestors. So let's see what our message for this week is. 5, okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I love it. Oh no, is it? But is it the old lady from the first story? All right, we pulled the wise one. Grow within your current situation. So, uh-oh. How do I find you, though? All right, here's what she says. Knuckle down, be reliable and committed, be open to wisdom and insight from your elders. The wise one represents the wisest aspect of the goddess, the crone. In paganism and modern Wicca, the crone is the fiercest, most psychic, and most aware aspect of the goddess because she has seen through many life's challenges and overcome many setbacks. On this card, the raven in her hands represents the capacity to overcome the darker times and be reborn again and again. So she helps you to tap into wisdom to overcome whatever life throws at you. Wisdom being the information stored in your soul rather than the knowledge acquired in this lifetime, and to learn from the experience of your elders. The wisdom of the wise one is based on something that the younger generation is often lacking: commitment and reliability. When this card appears, you are being guided to continue working on your growth and expansion within your current situation. Be committed to your tasks and projects. It can be very easy to get bored or overwhelmed, but persevere. You are being reminded of how it feels to be let down and experience unreliability, and that is not who you were born to be. So keep working on what you're working on because it's going to be extremely beneficial for you in the long run. Wow, I super relate to that. I feel very called out because I have a tendency to just bounce from different idea to different idea and not commit to something. All right, wise one. I hear you. I see you. All right. Well, that is our live stream today. Thank you, everyone who joined. And now my OBS is being weird. Thank you for joining, Drew C, Mig, GZ, Norella, I Love Your Mom, Murgle Mama Voir, Ash Orain, Michaela Miller, Vintage iPhone X, My Inner Fangirl, C4, I Like Fire, Summer Rain, Adam Lombardo, Ishang Chibber, Rot, John Ray Poladv, Lee, Angpro Gaming 520. I will see you tomorrow. I've got another live stream at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if not, I'll see you next week.